Hi everyone, how you doing? My name is Daniel Engole, and I'd like to welcome you here to the Kickstarter podcast. It's the Dallas edition, and I want to tell you why it's the Dallas edition. It's the Dallas edition because this is my city, DFW, and it's a beautiful place to actually have great conversations. Now, talking about great conversations, I run into a guy that is so hard to catch because he's so busy. But today, I have him on the spot, and he's actually the one behind the very name Kickstarter. Yes, Brian Kayongo, it's nice to see you.
Nice to meet you, my brother.
Thanks for coming to Dallas, man.
Thank you.
You know, if it wasn't for the East African Business Network, I wouldn't be catching you today.
I'm telling you, but it was a blessing to meet you.
It was a blessing, man. It's always great. You know, Brian and I, our story starts around 2021.
21, yeah.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Ohio. It was a wonderful event.
It was amazing, and I'll tell you, when I first run into Adrian,
yeah.
And he said, hey, there's this guy called Brian, and he has an amazing story, and his story is all written in this book out here. Yeah. I said, okay, what's he all about? Then, boom, you pull out from the other side. I'm like, oh, so this is the guy? Yeah. Okay, tell me about him. And it's like, it was such a, very humble story. But, I'm not here to talk about the story. You're here to tell us about the story.
Thank
so
you,
I'm going to go right into it, Brian. Yeah, for those who don't really know you, could you just kindly introduce yourself?
My name is Brian Kayongo. I'm married to my lovely wife, Lois Kayongo.
Nice.
And we have 3 beautiful kids,
Nice.
2 boys and 1 girl. And we live in Massachusetts. We're a resident of Massachusetts.
Wow.
But originally from Uganda, Kampala. And,
Like really in the city of Kampala?
Yes, I've never, I don't have a village, because if I tell you my village, you're going to laugh.
Why would I laugh at that, man?
Because when I tell it to people, they say, that is not a village.
Are you serious?
My village, it will be Chengera.
Chengera, like
Okiso, Chengera. Going towards Masaka Road, Sanji, Sabka.
Wow.
Yeah, that is my village there.
Now let me surprise you, man. For the longest time, my mom's village was in Tinder.
Oh my God.
So that's why I say try me,
people will judge us.
Yeah.
They'll be like, that is not a village. Where you don't take a bus for 2 hours.
Yeah.
That is not a village, definitely.
And so when I think about Tinder, I think about Tinder in the 80s when the tarmac stopped somewhere.
Yeah.
The paved road stopped somewhere and it was all dust going up. So when I see Tinder today, I'm like, man, what happened to my village?
I'm telling you, your village changed. You have like tall buildings, everything. It's too modern. The music is loud all over the place, but that makes it unique and beautiful. I'm telling you.
And probably that's the backdrop for this conversation, because I know you just, your whole life you breathe, eat real estate.
Yes.
So, in a nutshell, I know you're fanatic. No, you're not even just, fanatic. You're probably just lost in this world of real estate. Yeah. When did you discover this, Brian Kayongo?
I'll begin here. I want to share with people the genesis of Brian Kayongo. 2016.
Yeah.
That is when I started Concept Real Estate as a company. Okay. But the genesis begins when I was still in Uganda, when I was at the age of like 17, 18. Right. I came to the US. Okay. When they tell you your parents are in the US, everyone thinks that everything is good back home. Mm-hmm. Oh, you guys, your father is sending in dollars and whatever.
Yeah,
things were not really good. I'll tell you. I want to be truthful to people. We are surviving, but being in a survival mode, it makes you become creative. Mm-hmm. Because you don't want to just keep on suffering. You want to. God has given you the blessing of having knowledge and understanding and have a transition of life and look at it in the different dimensions. So by that time, if you ask me about dimensions, I will not understand. But right now I can share with you, I was in a certain dimension which helped me to be with you here today. I looked at life and I was like, okay, my parents can be able to pay some of my school fees or all that stuff, but to live as a youth, what am I doing for myself? So I got some of the guys who we started with together and I collaborated with them and I said, let me start a chapati business. Because I looked at the composite, it's like, everywhere I go, I see this guy's chapati pan. You remember in Kampala, we used to have those bukas in the morning, which like pan.
Macarena guy. Yeah.
So I was like, let me do something like this. Yeah. And I used to love businesses where I can scale. I don't have to be there always, but I can be able to scale. So I said, okay, let me start one outlet. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, up to when I got to almost like 13 outlets. Wow. Even in my book, I talk about it. So for me, I like the business where I can multiply. That is the realization of me. I said, how can I multiply myself? So many people can stand in my shoes here today, but they don't understand the principle of multiplication. The whole corroboration of the genesis of me finding Brian is finding the principle of multiplication, because that has been the driving formula to my journey to growth. So when I was 17, 18, before I came to the US, I discovered that into me. So I did that for a short period of time, the chapati business, which introduced me to become an entrepreneur. Like, you are in business, you are transacting, you're earning your money, but still as a student. Then got a blessing and came to the US.
Yeah.
As so many people dream about, like, I want to be in the US. But when I came to the US, I made one decision. You see, this book is here.
Yeah.
Let us say this is the middle of the line of here.
Yeah.
I have placed this book in the middle. So that means my 1 foot is still in Uganda, 1 foot is here.
Yeah.
When I came here, at that age where I was, I just said, I'm in America.
So you just kind of phased out mentally the Ugandan side.
The Ugandan side. But it didn't stop me from being informed about Uganda, watching the news, understand what is going on. I still stayed connected. But I said, let me understand America. What is America? Because so many people know Uganda, but they don't know America. Man, they live in America.
You just cracked the code, man. You know, it's so funny you say it. Just 2 days ago, I was saying the same thing. I was like, I didn't realize how this conditioning had actually happened to me and friends of mine mentally. We're like, hey, every time we thought about problem solving, the concepts were more Ugandan than they were in the United States. Yet in our present time, we're actually in the United States.
In the United States.
So you just cracked one very important chord that just, solidified it right before me.
So it's still important for me. Now I'm in America. I need to understand this word. What did they mean the land of opportunity? Am I going to find money on the tree? No. I've looked for that tree. I've never found it. That is the reality of it. But
it should be somewhere in Boston or something.
In Boston, you'll never find it. If it's there, it will be even right now dry. I'll tell you, we are many of us there. So I'm there looking and saying, okay, I'm in America.
Yeah.
My dad wanted me to become a nurse.
Okay.
You know, my dad found out after a year when I was studying accounting. He was asking me about nursing stuff. Oh, I don't see you carrying this book which I gave you. I'm like, to tell you the truth, I'm not doing nursing. But my dad, when he found out that I was not doing nursing, he sat me down and told me, okay, Brian, well, you're not doing nursing. You have job security there. I know you be making good money. I told my dad, that's true. There's job security, there's making good money.
But there's multiple hours.
There's multiple hours, and that is not me. So at that age, this is a conversation I had with my father. I told my dad, I know how much you believe in me.
This is your early 20s, man.
Yeah, this is when I was like 18, because I came when I was 18 here. So I'm 18, I'm sitting up. So
18, you're having this conversation.
Oh yeah, let me tell you how I can have this conversation with my dad. When I was a kid growing up, this is my dad. My dad will never go get his salary from the bank when I'm not with him. No. He wants me to see where the money goes. Because it's not me understanding why my dad makes $1 million shilling and gets home when he has only 100,000. No. He wants you to know, to understand.
Okay, we pull out a brick here. By the time we got there, that brick was like
100K.
Done.
All done. Because by the time we leave the bank, he goes and says, okay, this guy does for me. I buy stuff for bringing home every morning from this guy. Let us give him 200. Oh, I pay for this guy. This guy fixed my car. Oh, this guy did this. By the time you get home, you have 100K. And you see where that money went. And that was really important to me. And by that time, even also, my dad wanted me to connect with the people who work in the bank. Because he knew when I grow older, I can reach to these people, I can go there and tell a bank manager. But that the person who is a teller by then is now a bank manager. He's now in a big position in the bank. Because with all those years of working there, now they're experiencing different positions and all that. So that means, for me, the way I rate with the banker, who is a CEO right now of any bank right now in Uganda, is not the same way you rate to them. Because for me, they saw me when I'm being groomed up.
So this guy.
They have seen me. When I tell him I need a loan of over 500 million shillings, they will understand why I'm good for it. Because I've been royal, I've been showing up, I've been coming back and forth. You get what I'm saying?
I hear you, man. I hear you.
That brings me to the conversation. Why my dad at 18 can sit down with me to have a normal conversation. A conversation of like, okay, you are here. For me, I want you to study nursing. I found out you're not studying nursing. Now you're studying finance. Why? I'm telling my dad, the one thing which I tell you, as you believe in me, I will not disappoint you. That's the first thing. I asked my dad, do you believe in me? He said, yes. I said, that is the only thing I want from you, believing in me. And that thing...
You can bet on me.
Just bet on me.
Just bet on me. I won't disappoint you. Yeah.
And for me, when I knew my dad is in my corner, we are together, we are in agreement.
Yeah.
What I did, I said, okay, now it's the real work starts. I have to pass. I have to be keeping on winning. I have to strategize. I don't have to tell the guy that you trusted me to do accounting, but I don't have a job.
I blow it up. Yeah.
So my mentality started changing. I started looking things in a different way. I started saying, okay, I'm studying, but whatever I want to do, it has to start now. So many kids are in college, but they think about finishing college to get jobs. I said, I need to create work for myself. I need to create something for myself. That's what kept on coming back to my head. So I started working with CVS, and I was like, okay, you know CVS by then, they pay you $7 an hour. But it's a blessing because it's a beginning. You need it. You need to appreciate life.
You need to be nurtured. Yeah. And besides, I like it when you say it because the American story is more about nurturing. You don't want to jump into the deep waters just before you even understand anything. You're just going to drop the ball when you finally get the big bag. So if you do understand American nurturing, that $7 is actually the school that you're paying.
Important.
That is the school that you're paying for, actually.
That's true.
Let's talk about this book here, Brian.
Yes,
Brian,
my brother.
This was the first book you launched.
Yeah.
The enterprising entrepreneur, right? Building your ladder to success. I'm talking about ladders. Let's talk about how was your response after this?
My response, okay. This book has become my identity.
Yeah.
Because do you know the reason why I write a book is to identify myself. I can have a conversation with you right now. Our viewers will get to know about me. Some who are new, some who have known me for a long time. But they can have this is my identity. And these are my facts. These are the words I say, okay, Brian,
this is my truth.
This is my truth.
This is what you work with. Wow.
So many people in life don't have a written truth. So for me, I put my truth in writing. And it became my identity. So whatever word is here, someone is going to read it and say, okay, this is what Brian says. So a book becomes, it's one of the things, in other way, I can look at, this is how I've branded myself. Wow. You want to, so many people go to business meetings and they want to introduce themselves. Don't say so much. Get into a conversation, say, this is how you identify me. This is how you get to know about me. So we encourage also other people to write books. I'll tell you, everyone at least has 2 books in them. So the book becomes your identity. Becomes that when you go meet CEOs, meet different organizations and want to pitch to them, before you pitch to them, give them a chance to know about you. This is the book.
Bam! That's my CV right there.
That is my CV.
That's my resume right there.
Yeah. Because I cannot put it, and this is just a summary of the lifetime of what I've done.
So that's what's amazing, man. This is just a few years old, man. This is it.
This is it.
So I'm thinking, what would this book look like 2 years from now?
And that has been the
Let's
problem
say
writing
20
another
years
book.
from now, what would this book look like?
Can I tell you? Writing another
about.
book has been another problem because, when you write this one, then you start thinking about how writing a second one, the chapter, you're like, okay, because your life expands so quick.
Yeah.
Because this was an intro to me, to people understanding, okay, this is Brian. And let me tell you, this book has opened for me a lot of doors to meet a lot of new strangers. Wow. And as already said, the strangers have your next opportunity. And that is it.
I like where you're going with that. I know you go by the phrase, you turn your contacts into contracts. Yes. But I want you to answer that right after this. And we're back back on the Kickstarter podcast here with Brian Kayongo, my man, right
Yes,
here
my
on the
brother.
on this beautiful podcast. Hey, like we said, you go by the phrase, turn your contacts into contracts.
Yeah.
How successful has that been for you, Brian?
Wow. It's amazing. I'll tell you, one of the first thing which has done for me, I've seen the world. You know, there's this saying in Uganda,
Tumblr.
yeah, forgotten the saying, but
Yeah.
I wish if I
It's like to travel.
Yeah.
To travel is to see something.
yeah,
like that.
travel is to see something like that.
Yeah.
But in that actual sense is that this has opened me to see different culture. Culture defines us in so many ways, and culture opens up opportunities. I was in Namibia, a tremendous, a beautiful country, but with few people.
Windhoek.
Yeah, Windhoek, oh my God, beautiful, but with few people. I'm in Uganda, Kampala, too crowded, and I'm like, you know, there are so many places we can be in.
Let's go crush Namibia.
Let's go crash Namibia. And let me tell you, the amazing people in Namibia are so welcoming. They're so nice. That is just one country. But you go to all these European countries and it's amazing. You go to all these other African countries, like you go to Kenya, they welcome. It's just close by. But you know, let me share with you something about this, about contacts. I did this book, and I was one of the first people who I got shocked. A magazine from Kenya, it's called Afrique Magazine. They look for me.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, we want to interview you about this book. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? From Kenya? That shows you how strangers also looking for other strangers and how we collaborate together. I went to Nairobi and I met these wonderful people. I'm telling you, we are just limited by ourselves.
Words are borderless, man. Books are borderless.
There is no limit.
Yeah.
If you are taking the advantage of looking for strangers, they have their own next opportunity, I'll tell you. Let me tell you, I got introduced in Kenya. That opened for me another door and another door and another door. So when I entered into, I have one of my relatives, she's Greek, and my lawyer. They're all Greek people. People told me, why are you surrounding yourself with so many Greek people? They are my people, I love them. And when they introduced me to their community, I said, I'm open-minded. Let me meet a lot of new strangers with this community. And I'll tell you, it has been an amazing. I get opportunities where people say, like in real estate, they ask me, how did you get that beauty? The truth, because I met a stranger. I get an opportunity chance to find a good investment. The truth is that I took an advantage to have a conversation with a stranger. You imagine in Seattle, when we met, you were a stranger.
Yeah.
But what happened? I said, let me
let's
start a conversation.
have this conversation. Yeah.
And you see where the conversation has taken us for years.
You know,
One network to another network.
I like this. You know,
And that is really important.
and especially the key thing here being time. You know, sometimes we want to cut the deal then.
Yeah.
And sometimes some deals need maturity. And when we talk about maturity, is that what gave birth to the Kickstarter conference that you have today?
That's true. Because I'll tell you, one of my first event which was in America, it was the UNA for 2013.
Okay.
It was amazing. I was like, wow, look at all these amazing people.
2013 Dallas?
Yeah, no, that was San Diego.
San Diego. No, 2014.
So 2014, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I wasn't here, but I remember it was in San Diego.
Yeah. San Diego, 2014, you're right. So I was like, you look at these amazing people. Everyone is trying to work together, network together. I was like, okay. I kept since then I've never missed any UNA. You know me. I've been there. I've been showing up every time. That is the thing about people. People ask me, oh, we hear about UNA that people are just having fun. No. What is your intention? That is it. What is your intention there? That is it. For me, my intention with UNA, it's a blessing. I've been able, as you said, you mature it as you go on.
Yeah.
But then I got a blessing to be with the Grant Cardone. He does the 10X conference.
10X, yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
My brother. You look at people in the world who don't see limitation, that is a guy. He doesn't see limitation in the world.
Wow.
So what do you learn from that and how do you adapt from that? So I started saying, okay, now you look at this union of people. These people are collaborating together, business people who do not have even a limit that how much I want to see my business grow. I said, okay. And I started saying, if I do something which collaborates with me, with my community, what would that be? Because let me tell you, you can make as much money as you can make. You can enjoy yourself as much as you can make with your family. But I'm past the level of just knowing my family is going to be okay, they're going to be... The truth, my kids, even if anything happens to me right now, they'll be okay.
They'll be well.
Everyone will be okay.
Yeah.
But who will remember me after 10 years? That is what is the thing which keeps me awake at night. Who will remember the same name, Brian Kayongo?
That pinnacle of impacting community now. That's where Brian Kayongo
now the purpose changes from being just to your loved one
money and all that stuff.
and making money. Now it becomes what challenge you give to yourself to become an impact into the community. That's when we started.
You know, when you say that, it now makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Why, when I look at the guests, the speakers you had at the last Kickstarter conference in Boston, and first of all, I have to apologize, I wouldn't make it because here in my Dallas
we forgive you in
community,
advance, but Dallas,
here in my Dallas community, we had an event that very weekend, and
thank
I
you.
had to stay in for the community. But last year, man, you got me on my toes.
I know.
I am like the ardent fan. I am like Vusi in my system.
I know.
Man. I love Vusi, and I just couldn't believe I missed the chance to hang out with Vusi. You know, I was waiting to say the one thing he always said well, man. Hello,
family.
You know, I love that line. I hope he gets a chance to watch that.
You will get to see it.
Vusi Dembegayo, you had touch. You had apostle.
Yeah, Apostle Grace
Apostle
Rubega.
Grace Lubega, man.
Yeah.
How did you connect with these guys, man? How, man? How did they just believe in this guy?
That's
Brian Kayongo, like, who are you, man, to have these kind of guys hang out with you, man? How did you do it?
Humility. I'll tell you, anyone can tell you they can do what they do, but your spirit has to be clear. These people can read through walls. They can see, they can understand. Like me, the way I'm having a conversation with you, you can see my truth. That is important. They can see your humility.
You don't fake it.
Yeah.
It's who you are.
It's who you are. And they can see, are you just helping yourself as Brian? Because they're no longer into the position of just helping just Brian. They're not in that business.
They see something else.
They are in the business of changing people's lives. Because also them, they pass that level which I've told you of looking at, okay, what can I do for my family? It's no longer about the money.
It's not about the bread anymore.
No, it's about impact.
Wow.
And they knew that's what I'm trying to get for my people. And that's what I'm trying to get for communities who are the immigrant communities, so that we can change lives.
Man. Dude, I'm just lost in that dream, man.
I know.
Let's you know, and let's bring things to perspective
Yes.
here, Brian, man. Let's bring these things to perspective, Brian. This is the United States, man.
Yeah.
You know, I'm hustling. I'm trying to make things work for me, my
Yeah.
family. You know, everything is just ends up being a destructive thing in my life. You know, so it's so, you know, hey, I need to figure out these bills. Hey, I need to be the best dad. Hey, I need to be, you know, my son is growing up. I need to be there for him in this. You know, it's a different story up here. It's not like Uganda may have a maid out here to help us take care of some things so we can focus on some things. How do you focus in being this guy?
A team. You create a team. And you have to believe in them the way you believe in yourself. Like I tell people on my team, be the solution for the problem which you're faced by. Like, don't expect me because I'm your boss to come and bring you the solution. I want you to be a problem solver. And that's why you're part of this team. You cannot be part of my team if you're expecting me to come and give you an answer on something.
How do you source for these guys? Let's be real. How do you source? How do you see it in these guys? Is it some magic that God gave you and be like,
I wish it's a source. The truth in life, you have to believe in one thing. If someone is real, they will always be real. If someone is not real, time will tell. Because I cannot say everything you get is as beautiful as a flower. But life defines those people. Let me tell you, I get into a presence, and let me tell you, I've been blessed enough. You know, when you speak on stages and you keep on showing up on things, the right people show up. Me as a believer, God shows me the right people. They are there. Because in the first position, anyone to work with me, they have to believe in who is Brian. Then they have to believe in the concept of what we are trying to build. Then they have to believe in a mission. Those are the things which I cannot convince someone to understand. Before even we start the conversation,
before we even talk about the money part of things, man,
you have to believe in those.
What do you offer as you, as a person? Yeah. Do you have integrity? Do you have value?
That's
do you have, wow.
And has to be connected. From me as the founder, from the vision which you have created, from the team, because everyone in the team is going to, they need your support. So it's not like Brian is here and that is all. That's why have you ever seen me by myself alone?
Dude, that's what I'm trying to say. Like from day one, I didn't see you until it was a couple of minutes later.
Yeah.
Someone sold you to me.
That's it.
And the same fella is still hanging out with you, and I'm like,
that's it.
That's what actually got me thinking myself. I need to get to know this guy a little more, because there has to be something about you that attracts that level of talent and
let me share with you
and belief in fellas. Yeah.
Bishop Doug Mims has a book. It's called Loyalty and Disloyalty. I want people to look for that book. Okay. That book is really important as for any leader who is trying to get people to work with them or trying to choose the right people to work with. That book will define for you someone. I will have a conversation with you and I can define you. Where do you belong in that book?
Wow.
That is important for people to know. You need to know the people who are going to be loyal to you. There are certain principles which they carry. There are certain things which they let me tell you.
What are we talking about biblically here? The Joseph character? What are we talking about?
Before even we talk about the Joseph character, let me give you an example. Someone who is willing to sacrifice for you for their sake, that is important. Because when you met Adrian, he stands for the word, what comes out of Adrian. You don't even have to come and talk to me about Brian. Adrian really has the ground understanding of who is Brian. Those are the people we are missing in the real life. So many people walked with Jesus, but they didn't know Jesus.
I don't believe it.
So those who knew Jesus, most of them even got to know about Jesus very well when he rose again.
Hey man, that dude we used to hang out with here, what? Yeah.
So that is the thing. Like me, so many people can walk with me in the journey, but so many are still wondering, I started with Brian, but is that Brian? Because when I was in school, I'm a quiet kid. That's why today I was sharing with you guys when we're having a conversation that being a quiet kid, it does not mean that being a quiet kid, it does not mean that me as a person that I'm a bad person, that I'm being quiet, I'm being ignorant, I'm ignoring other people. No. I'm taking time to pass through to process. That's what people fear. Because in the actual sense, people don't want to think. They just want to act. They don't take the chance to have a thought process. And that is really important, my brother.
I know we have a break somewhere boarding up soon, but I want to ask you, Brian, and we might want to answer this right now, or we can answer it after the break.
No, let's go.
What would the Brian Kayongo of today say to the Brian at 16 on the streets of Kampala trying to make a way out? What would that Brian say? What would this Brian say to the other Brian? And you might want to answer this before we get in the break. Or we can answer it after the break.
Let me share with you. This is important because this defines a lot in my life. Don't forget about the Brian at 16. Every time, have that image of Brian at 16. It's important. So many people live a life and they forget about the people who founded them. You know, remember that boss you started with when you just came to America? How they treated you, how you worked with them, how the things which they taught you. You remember when you just come to America and they're like, okay, this is how you learn how to count $1 and all that. So the problem we have is that some of us will forget about the beginning. We only read the chapters in the middle of the book or the end, and we say, oh, my brother, I know you, I love you, you are my brother. But you forget about the guy who was like, bro, can I give you a right to work? That's where the problem is. Can I give you right to work? That's where people forget. That's why I tell people, okay, you have your life here. I have a beginning of any chapter from this book. But when I reach in the middle, you see in the middle it just says about procrastination, continue showing up what and what. But what is the genesis of the beginning? The genesis of the beginning, it shows you certain principles How do you start my journey? It defines the journey. What is in the journey? The journey, the one first principle which is in my journey. The guy I remember who gave me a ride. Had a friend of mine called Kato. That guy gave me a ride. You know, the guy came from like 20 miles to pick me up to go to school with him. Wow. Do you think I have to forget that guy?
No, you can't forget that guy.
There's a principle behind that guy, why even he did that. That is what defines us, and that is what keeps me going, because
Connecting the dots.
don't forget, but remember the beginnings. That is important, because when you forget the humble beginnings, right now when you live in the journey which we are living in, you are just living for the sake of surviving. But when you remember vividly that you look for a meal, when you remember vividly that you had a beginning of knowing who was the right person, who was not the right person, who was what, it's important.
That's crazy, man. Hey, we'll be back right after this break. This is the Kickstart Podcast, Dallas edition. Hey, and we're back on the Kickstarter podcast here with Daniel Engole and my man Brian Kayongo. Man, we've had such a great time. Brian, I have just a few questions for you before we put this to a close. You know, we actually just concluded the East African Business Network. I personally can't say thank you enough to them. It's my second year hosting this amazing conference on business, money, closing deals, and I'm just happy. I know you're a man of many ideas. You have a quiver, a bag full of your quiver in there. What's the next big thing right now, Brian?
Property. So, for my experience, I'll share with you what even one of the things what I was launching at the event, it was to talk about the property system.
Property-yo.
Yeah, property-yo. Okay. It is
meaning my property.
My property.
Okay.
So we looked at us diasporans. I created this for myself first. You know, I tell people before I create something, I'm looking at myself first. So that's where I look at things. So I was like, okay, what system can I use to manage my properties back home? Yeah. And it came to me, I said, let me sit down with my team, we'll look for ways how we can do this. So when I sit down with my team, they said, you know what, boss, let us put something together, we create a system which helps not only you, because our main goal, the vision as a company is to help everyone in the community and for the whole Africa. I told them, okay, what are you thinking about? They came up with the idea and said, let us build a robust property management system which can help people in collecting rent, can help people in communicating with their tenants, can help a landlord manage and review the track on how they manage their properties, the requests and tasks, how they can manage their properties. Also the landlord to easily access documents and keep track of all these reminders like lease ending, notices and all that. Put it in one and share it to the world. And that's what his property is doing. And we are in Kenya, we are in Nigeria, we're in Uganda, and we're expanding all over Africa. And also, in the period of 2 months, we'll be launching USA Property. So those who are diasporans and you have properties in the US, we said, okay, because you know what happened? So I launched this thing, and someone tells me, Brian, I know you are helping me manage my properties back home in Kenya, and they tell me, I have properties here. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't think about that. Help me fix this problem, because I prefer managing all my properties in the same portal. And I was like, okay. So I talked to my team and said, we need to come up with this solution because we have people here and they're asking, they want to manage their properties in the same database. How are we going to do this? So that's how now in 2-3 months, we'll be launching up Property US, and it will go live. You can do rent collection, rent management, data keeping, communication for all your tenants. So you have an app for you on your phone as a landlord, and also your tenants will have the app and they can pay from there. And it's gonna be amazing.
Shoot, bro, you just problem solve after problem solve. That's some fixer. We used to call them the MacGyvers back in the day. Pull a bomb out of his shoe. You know, James Bond. Anyway, let's talk about it. The Kickstarter, the annual Kickstarter conference. It's been running for a few years. What's your next big plan? Where's it gonna happen? 2025.
So and this next year is unique. It's when we are getting to 5 years doing this. So we are no longer babies. We are now matured. Yeah, being at age 5, it's important.
No more baby food.
No more baby food.
No.
People expect bigger and bigger.
Nice.
And to do it big and bigger, what is the right place to do it for?
Jeez, in the big D. Are you trying to say something?
That's true.
It's coming to Dallas.
Dallas, Texas. Next year, 2025, April 18 and April 19. Dallas, Texas will
The
be here.
heavens have opened up.
Amen. Amen. I'm telling you.
I'll tell you statistically right now, I'm just proud of being a Dallas, resident. I mean,
Can I shock you more?
Break it down.
Oh my God. So I'm here having a conversation with Apostle Grace, and I'm telling him, he's my spiritual father. I'm telling him, we are deciding to do this event in Dallas, Texas. I'm like, what is he going to say next?
Yeah.
Oh my God. He was the most happiest person that we are doing it in Dallas. So Dallas people, you Africans, Americans, whoever, we want you to be there. Come and listen to the man of God who is going to teach you the biblical principles of how to do business. You are going to learn. Apostle Grace was a banker, so he knows that how business is run. He understands. He has reviewed so many reports about how business is done. So it's going to be an amazing event. That is just one. I'm here to share with you, but I just want to assure you that for him, he's already here and he's going to be here, and more others. Let us keep them waiting.
Let's watch that space, right?
That's true.
Man, you can go out there, check out Kickstarter conferences. This guy has done amazing, guys. I told you last year he hosted Touch. Amazing guy. In the millions. He hosted Vusi Tembegayo. Amazing speaker, man. Outstanding guy. Brian, as we conclude, man,
please.
What would you say to those that believe that Africa is the next big destination?
Thank you. This is one I'll say about that. God has been gracious enough to bring us to be in this land of opportunity.
Yeah.
But what has to be different from our generation is that there are so many systems, there are so many things which are here, which we can take back home, which we can take back in Africa. So, and because Africa is still a virgin market, Africa is where you go and you find here, like property management companies, you find like 1,000 of them. In Africa, you can find 100.
In just one simple
zip code. And all of them are successful. Do you know why? They don't compete, they dominate. For me, I tell you, I have a saying which Mark Cuban says. Yeah. And I tell you to people.
Jeez, I can see you're lost in Dallas. Yeah? Mark Cuban, bring it out.
Mark Cuban always says, get into my space, you'll not survive. What does he mean about that? He's like, for me, I don't care, like 10,000 property management software comes up, we go all of us in Africa. But just be in my spirit, you don't survive. That's it. That's my spirit. You're going to check that from me. It's the same way. Why am I telling you that? Don't fear that you want to build a nice hotel that someone has done it. Do it differently. And that person will not survive to compete with you. Just dominate.
There's enough pie here.
That is it. The enough pie is how you package your pie.
Amazing.
Do you put on some icing?
Yeah.
What is the delivery? How do you deliver it?
Wow.
People get it wrong when they start competing with others. Just dominate. And if you dominate, no one will stand in your space.
Jesus Christ, man. What an amazing time, man. This is a serial entrepreneur. You're a life changer, Brian Kayongo. I can't thank you more. And first of all, I want to say thank you for choosing Dallas, man.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you for choosing Dallas. We are so excited. We'll be hosting the Kickstarter conference next year, 2025. I know he'll share all the dates and all the information. My name is Daniel Engole. It's been an amazing Kickstarter podcast, Dallas edition with my man, Brian Kayongo. We'll see you next time.
So, wow. Done.
Yes, sir.
Almost 40 minutes talking to a millionaire at 30. What was it like? Did it
You know, Milton, there was that joke, meme-like thing that went on Instagram for a long time about would you take $500,000 or have dinner with Jay-Z? And so there was that comparison. Yeah, would you have $500,000 in your pocket, or would you just have dinner with Jay-Z? And they would do funny skits of guys having dinner with Jay-Z and creating Jay-Z's voice in the background, and Jay-Z's talking you should have taken the $500,000. But I'll tell you, man, no, this was like the best. It's one thing to know some guy, You know, you've met him, you know his name out there, but it's another thing to actually indulge this guy, have a conversation with him, and just know his truth. You know?
So did the camera being in front of you change how you guys interacted in terms of, you know, getting to learn a few things that maybe you may not have taken so much keen interest into knowing about Brian?
It's good you asked that question, because truth be told is like when the cameras go on, now the conversations are about truth. They're not about just regular conversations. It's about, Brian, hey, you're on the spot. Tell me what's going on. What's this whole thing? What's you know, enterprising entrepreneur? What's that story? And
you guys didn't even talk about the book.
And that's the thing. No, the fact that the book was actually the basis of our meeting. You know, in the sense that he had brought this book to the convention in Cincinnati when we met. And when I met this guy called Adrian sells me this dude called Brian, and he
did
tells
the
me,
same to me, by the way.
oh, he did. So Adrian
did
sells this guy called Brian to me, and says he's even written a book. And I'm like, okay, tell me about this dude. This dude is selling Rolexes, and I don't mean the watches. I mean our street food in Uganda, which is a wrap, you know, with eggs and all that good stuff. And at a certain age of 18, and he's making money decisions at 18. I'm thinking to myself, at 18. When he was speaking, I was embarrassed, real talk. I was really embarrassed about it, because if you find out what I was doing at 18, we might not even have this conversation.
We are better off not going that direction because of how it's likely to pan out. But I think for me, there's something that was a bit profound when you asked him. And by the way, you ran all the breaks. You overran all of them. So we have to find a way of dealing with it. But
I need a clock next week.
No, it was for a good reason, and we allowed it. You know, you have a background in broadcasting, so you know if you overrun a break, somebody would be shouting on your ears. But then let's talk about, there's something that was really profound, and I think this is something that I need to emphasize to the audience, that the Brian today advising the Brian 16 years old, that was profound for me. What did that question intend to achieve?
And I'll tell you this, man, not too long ago is when I, stumbled upon, the saying, or the phrase, life is lived forward, but understood backwards, Then you start to understand how people connect dots in amazing ways. When you look at the mistakes and the things you did, which profoundly are not actually mistakes if you think about it, because you're connecting dots. The experiences, I'll call them experiences, at 16, 17, wherever we went to, and then you go today, they usually say formidable years of conditioning are birth to 12. So let's go even further to 8 years old and stuff like that. So now you're understanding that 8-year-old self today and looking and thinking, wow, okay, what was that dude up to? You understand? And what was it about that dude that actually made this dude today?
So in other words, you're saying, Dan, that life is building blocks.
It is purely building blocks, Milton. There's just no way we can explain it. Like when you think about it, we can project a future. We can project a future and how you want to be and how you want to live and good stuff like that. That's great. But that's only when you have found certain ingredients, that you can actually, it's just like saying, hey, I make the best steak, and they're asking you, how do you make your best steak? You're like, I just have a simple basis, which is going to be, salt and then black pepper, and then the rest of it all is just the timing of, it's 5 minutes on this side and 5 minutes on that side, and I have the best steak. But until you find that ingredient, you kind of have no informed direction towards very many things. Some people find it early, some probably never find it. But Brian's story is, that's why I had to ask him that question. The reverse would have actually been the same. What would Brian at 16 ask Brian at 30?
Well, these are two broadcasters. By the way, Dan has a background in radio, and he should be hosting this show, really. Diaspora Perspectives with Milton Yakundi needs to have this kind of fusion of energy. And I loved it, every bit of it. And whenever you have time and you have somebody that you want to sit down and talk to, we are open and we will
that's great.
gladly take you in. And we don't want to overrun like he did. we want to end it at that. Diaspora Perspectives. This is the special Dallas edition. Two gentlemen from the Pearl of Africa in Uganda talking about each other. And the beautiful thing is that we are talking about a millionaire at 23 and who's now 30 years old, living his American dream, and talking to two people who are still looking for a way of making it happen that way. But I think at the end of the day, what I get is that everybody has their own time. Just like everybody has their own identity and their own name. And that is the inspiration that I get. Dan, your parting shot as we end this before we wrap.
So what I would say here, Milton, and I want to say thank you so much for coming to Dallas. I know you had to drive, a couple of miles here. We are an amazing community, the Dallas Ugandan community, an amazing community. And I just, I love to offer myself. I don't know, my calling is probably in the leadership, and I love that. And I'm just glad that, I can see fellow Ugandans, do something, do something amazing, because the story of the American dream, whether it's the pursuit of happiness or just the fact that I want to have money, is one that when you really understand it, it's different from when you look at it from, in Uganda, and it's a whole lot different. It feels like it gets harder when you actually hit the ground. So when you find people who have found those ingredients, it's amazing. It's amazing, Anyway, go on. So for that, I just want to say, to your audience, thank you so much, man. This guy does things amazingly, and we're just glad that you would come and would be on this podcast.
We will keep doing this, and here on Diaspora Perspectives with Milton Nyakundi, all we are doing is we're trying to create an environment where we tell you stories from the diaspora in a way that inspires you. And it's not just about diaspora in the US, but across the world, because Africa has to take its opportunity now and go ahead. How we do it is important, yes, but when and who we bring along and how we carry everybody and onboarding all our citizens and all our people is more important. Listening to this, I'm lost for words in terms of how to end this, but please keep sending us your feedback. Follow us, engage with us, tell us who you want us to look for, to hear their stories. But I think what is most important, how different can we make life? Those of us who are on this other side of life, because Diaspora Perspectives is about giving you the stories that will help you and inspire you and give you the incentive to dream. Because if Brian could come here and make $1 million by the age of 23, which is within 5 years of coming to America, you've been here for donkey years, what is your excuse? Think about it. Let's get inspired, and not in a bad way, with all due respect. All I'm saying is stay focused, do the right thing, and make sure that I'm trying to be cordial here, but the truth is that we have to tell each other the truth, that it is about the purpose for which you are in this life. And sometimes, if somebody will tell you that you are the king, as the king you're naked, you can as well live your life the way you want. At the end of the day, for us here on Kurunzi News, we'll keep doing it, we'll keep doing what we have to do, and our purpose is to be your reliable source of reliable information that helps you, if not you, your generations, if not your generations, the neighborhood and the people that you care about. Thank you for watching, and keep following us on Kurunzi News, kurunzinews.com, and Kurunzi News on YouTube and all the social media handles. We will keep doing it, and this guy is gonna be our presenter and our anchor from Dallas. I don't have to drive all the miles. Dan, you're here. All I need to do is sit somewhere in my crib and do the intros and outros, and you do the job. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for extending.
We'll do this again next time.
All right, there. Take care, guys. Bye.